Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markel.
And I've been trying to keep the pimp hand strong. I was keeping the pimp hand strong last week, Friday and Saturday, and a little bit sore from last week, quite frankly. Oh. How about you over there, kid?
I am also sore, and I vow to never not work out for more than a couple days at a time. If you guys can track that.
All right. It is Wednesday. It's one of the favorite days of the week for most of you. Now, I'm guessing that if you are not a grad program member, that today is probably one of your favorites. Although maybe Monday is, because you haven't heard us for 3 days. Now, grad program members, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Friday is probably their favorite day. But it is Wednesday, or at least it's the Wednesday episode of Student of the Gun Radio. And that, of course, means that we have our SWAT Fuel Fitness Update, or Fitness Talk Update. And that's something that Jared has kind of taken over. And if you haven't been paying attention, or if you don't have the opportunity to watch the television show, Student of the Gun TV, it's on Roku. It is on Amazon Fire TV, and we're in development for the Apple TV and is it Apple TV and Xbox?
Yeah, Apple TV and Xbox Video. Did you guys know that development of our own channel actually takes kind of a lot of work?
What? You mean?
Yeah.
What channel are you guys on? We still get that. How come you guys aren't on Pursuit Channel anymore?
We're on Student of the Gun Channel.
We're on Student of the Gun Channel. Where have you been? What kind of makes my brain hurt is when people go to some place, like they go to one of our social media outlets, like the Twitter or the Instagram, whatever, it doesn't matter. But something that we update on a regular basis and use to update our fans and friends and so forth. And they'll say, how come blank, blank, blank? Dude, how are you following us on the social media and you don't have the answer to that question? Like, how come you guys aren't on Pursuit Channel anymore? I don't know. How come we're not? We've only been talking about this, like, developing our own television channel for, a year or more?
Been a while.
Like, over a year?
I think it's been more than a year.
Because, well, it goes all the way back to January of 2015. Isn't that not correct? Is that not correct? I'm pretty sure. It's been over a year. But well, let me go ahead and hip you to a super secret. Here in 2016, if you have the motivation and the drive and the know-how, there is absolutely no reason why you have to go through an intermediary to deliver your material. Well, the only reason is because you don't know how to do it, or you don't want to do it, or you don't understand the process. But you can, is what I'm saying. You can.
When I started this, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't even know where to start, but I started. And that's one thing that I should have talked about on a fitness, if I haven't already, I might have, is that you don't have to be a professional to start, but you have to start to be a professional.
Right. Well, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And no, here at Student of the Gun, last year in 2015, our goal for the year 2015 was to take over not only the production control of everything we did, but the distribution control. And you're like, what? Production, distribution? What does that mean? Well, many people make material, whether it's video material or audio material or written material or what have you. They create the material, and then they have to go through an intermediary through someone else to get that material in front of you, to the audience. Editors, publishers, channels, so forth. And 20 years ago, that was the game. You had to do that. If you had a product, I have a great idea for a TV show, great idea for radio, great idea for a book or articles or whatever, you had to go to a third party and you had to impress them and you had to convince them that what you had was valuable. And then they would take a cut and you would get a small percentage of whatever, and that's how it worked.
Incredibly small percentage.
And incredibly. Writing people. Several years ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Jim Shepard. And we were talking about books. And he said, if you can figure out a way to make money selling a book, let me know. And many of you out there in the audience are like, what? No, authors. Book authors are rich. People who write books are all like wealthy. No. People who write books are not wealthy. That like the top 0.05% of writers are wealthy. The vast majority are not.
Most people do it to get their name out there to sell another service and make money.
Yeah, you're the only people that are like wealthy writers. Your J.K. Rowlings and your who wrote the who's that guy that wrote the Game of Thrones? That dude.
I'm not really sure.
That guy.
I don't remember his name.
J.J. Well, I can't remember. I'm blanking out.
John Benjamin?
No,
that's not him.
No, he did the he mimicked Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, and it's exactly no, it doesn't matter. My point is, Stephen King, people like those guys are rich writers. Those are wealthy writers. Now they didn't start out that way, but the average person that writes a book is not a millionaire, and that was really true. Or that the case was more true 10, 20 years ago. You write a book, the publisher, says, okay, we'll publish your book, and you get a 5% royalty. If you really had a super good agent, a literary agent, I don't know how literary agents are doing today. I guess there's still a bunch of them. There's probably a bunch of them in New York or California or what have you. But it used to be you had to, if you wanted to get on the New York Times bestseller, you wanted to get in any of the Funk and Wagnall or Little Brown or whatever, any of the major publishers, an author couldn't just call a publishing house and say, hi, I'm an author and I have a book. They'd be like, yeah, whatever. It's you and 10 million other people. The best way to do it was to go through a literary agent. You would contact an agent. They would review your work, decide whether or not they thought it was valuable. And if they did, they would take you on as a client, and then they would pitch your stuff to publishing houses. And that's how it worked. And you might get, if you're new, and I hope I'm not boring you with it, but if you were new, you would get no royalty. You would get nothing up front. You would just get a contract and then a percentage. And maybe if it was your second book or you had a really good agent, you would get an upfront signing bonus, or you might get, $1,000 up front. If you got $1,000 up front 20 years ago, that was a lot. $5,000 was a huge amount. But often they would give that to you against future sales. Like they gave you $5,000 up front against future sales. So you didn't make another penny until you earned another $5,001, and so on and so forth. So that was the way it was. But here we are in 2016, 2015 even, 2014, and you don't have to do that anymore.
It's like if you have an idea, if you have material, if you have a message that you want to get out there and you believe it's valuable, then contact us, because we have a map now, pretty much.
Well,
we've done it for a couple years. I'm comfortable sharing the information. I think that is too.
Well, here's the deal. It's the ultimate capitalist free market society that we're in right now. Your work lives and dies, or it will live and die on its own merits.
Yep. It's
not that it's like, well, anybody. It's kind of like YouTube. Anybody, any chimpanzee, can start a YouTube channel. Now, whether or not people want to watch that or want to watch. Jared, it's kind of like, remember what have I told you about your first article? Selling your first article. Remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Way back when, I've been writing magazine articles for like going on, well, over 20 years now. And when I sold my first article, I was really excited. And then I sold a second one, and then a third one, and then 100 and 200 and so forth. And people would ask me about it. I was like, I don't know. I did what I did. And I followed advice of some mentors. I said, but here's what you need to understand. Selling your first article isn't really that hard.
It's selling that. Yeah, that's right.
Because everybody has one story, pretty much. Well, maybe not everybody, but most everybody has one story.
If you don't have one story, you need to have a more exciting life.
You need to get out of the living room, out of the man cave or whatever. But everybody has one story. But the trick isn't just selling one story. It's selling one and then another and then another and then another, convincing an editor, a publisher, that you have more than one story to tell. And in our world today, you can tell a story and you can actually deliver your material to the audience like we're doing today without having to go through the traditional intermediary, the publishing house and so forth. That's why things like Netflix is just beating the hell out of ABC, CBS, NBC, so forth. Just beating them like rented mules, redheaded stepchildren, right? Because they have this crazy free market now, and it's all on demand. The goal for 2015, and the reason I'm saying all this is because apparently not everybody in the audience is getting it. I'm getting that through my back channels here, so not everyone understands. The goal for 2015 for Student of the Gun was for every single piece of material that we produce to be available on demand, not just Monday nights at 9 o'clock. You know, when Student of the Gun TV was on the Sportsman's Channel, I think our time slot was 9 p.m. I don't remember. It could have been 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. I don't know. It was like, Monday nights at 9:30. Prime time, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is, it was only on for 1/2 hour per week, and once it was off air, it was off. That was it. Same thing with normal radio. If you're listening to the normal AM, FM radio station, your favorite show comes on at 9 a.m. or noon or whatever, and when it goes off, it's off, and it's gone for 24 hours. And if you're not sitting by the radio or in front of the TV or whatever, you don't watch it. Well, that's not the way the world is working right now. And unfortunately, the firearms industry, we're always 5 to 10, sometimes 15 years behind the rest of the world, where what we're doing now in the firearms industry, what the firearms industry is just starting to get a clue about, other industries have been doing for 10 years. Am I lying or am I dying over there, Jared?
That's true.
It's funny to me that we have to sell the idea of on-demand television to the firearms industry. We've been selling it to them for years. 3 years ago, it's amazing, Jared, that we're here right now, is it not? It's kind of an amazing success story because 3 years ago, we went to the firearms industry and we said, we're going to do a television show, but we're going to do it on demand, 24/7. We're going to produce ourselves. And they're like, no, you what? I don't understand. What channel are you going to be on? We're like, no, we're not going to be on a channel. We're going to be our own channel. But how will people see you? How will they know that you're there? I don't understand.
Dude, you could do a TV show. You could do a show on Facebook and reach more people than any channel out there.
Yeah. And in our industry, there are people in the industry that are like, we literally, did I tell the adults aren't ready to watch?
Yeah.
This is, well, it was 3 years ago. Within, like, during the last 3 to 4 years, we approached the marketing representative for a firearms company and explained our model. And this woman said, well, I know that teenagers use the internet to watch things, but I don't think adults are ready to use the internet to watch their TV shows. This wasn't 10 years ago.
Yeah.
This was like 3 years ago. Netflix existed 3 years ago. And that's what we've been up against. We're up against this weird Luddite kind of, we don't understand technology. But here we are in 2016, and literally every single thing we do, whether it's this radio show, whether it's a television show, whether it's the articles, whether whatever, is available 24/7.
Yeah,
it's on demand.
What you're talking about with adults don't watch internet or TV on the internet, that makes me think of the morning. What does that dude call it? It's called the Daily Fuel from Garrett White.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to that this morning, or maybe it was a couple mornings ago. I don't remember. But anyway, it was about what do you see, and basically he was talking about if you bring somebody that does a realtor to a house, a crappy house that's been run down by the tenants, they can see what it could be and how much the rent could be charged on that house, rather than somebody walks in there without experience and they're just like, wow, this is a dump. And that's kind of like with online television, or in our industry, we can see the map. We can see what it could be. But other people, or not all other people, but some people can't really see that. All they see is, well, this is the dump. Nobody's going to use that.
Well, it's they don't even understand what they're seeing or they're looking at. Kind of like, for instance, I got a question for you guys. How many of you, if I were to tell you, did you know that Smith & Wesson came out with a brand new single stack 9mm pistol? If your friend at work was to tell you that, they're like, hey man, did you hear about the new Smith & Wesson Ruger, Glock, Sig, Colt, whatever, single stack, super ultra carry, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, that's it. That interests me. What would you do to find more information out about that topic? What would you do?
I would call and order a catalog.
You would go to the phone, you would dial 888-123-45678, and you would get a catalog, right? No. What you do is you'd get in your car and you would drive to the nearest newsstand, and you would go to the magazine rack, and you would flip through like a dozen different gun magazines, hoping to find an article about that gun that I just told you about. Would you do that? And you're like, no, Paul, I wouldn't do that. What would you do? I would pull my phone out of my pocket and I would say, what was that again? And I would type it in. Or if I was sitting at my desk with my laptop open, I'd say, what was that? And I would type it in. We all do that. You do it. I do it. We all do it. It's the world. And yet we still encounter, Jared and I, people in our industry that will tell us, well, we're working on a new magazine ad, or we're going to put our advertising into magazines.
It's like, how do you even measure the ROI on a magazine ad or a television ad?
ROI?
Yeah.
You just lost half the audience there.
Return on investment.
Yeah.
How do you measure that?
But that's what we're getting, and it's kind of maddening sometimes when you're like, I don't even know what to say to you. It's like somebody called up the other day and asked if we could send the copy of The Armed Living on VHS, and I said, no, we can't. I'm sorry. The time machine is broken. We cannot put The Armed Living thing on VHS.
We're past DVDs now.
We're actually, our industry is just now understanding that DVDs, their whole rest of the world has been done with DVDs for 5 years, and our industry is just like getting to the point. It's sad. It really is. We have an entire industry that is great at building stuff and horrible at marketing it. That is the story of the firearms industry. Is we build really cool stuff, and we have no idea how to market. Now there are a few that do. There are a few that do, but we've got way off topic here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about SWAT fuel and fitness. And Jared actually has something he wants to talk to you guys about today.
Physically fit, physically fit, physically fit, physically fit, woman, nice, sweet, fantastic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman, nice, sweet, energetic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman, nice, sweet, fantastic.
I'm going to make this one short today so we can get to the meat of the episode. But the topic for today's SWAT Fuel Fitness talk is excuses, food, and no food. And if you're one of these people, listen up. I've had a lot of questions lately, and I actually realized what the problem was. I realized the problem when I was driving in the car the other day. I got up early, came to the studio, and I did my 30-minute circuit training thing. And then I realized, I was like, people make excuses to not work out because they either just ate breakfast or they didn't get to eat breakfast. And it's a huge argument in the fitness industry is, should you have food before you work out or should you not have food before you work out? And what I say to that is, I don't care. You need to work out. If you're going to make excuses not to work out, then what was your mindset in the first place? Were you actually even going to work out? Ask yourself, what is better for your body, working out or not working out? Now, obviously, it's better to provide your body with nutrition before you work out, but you don't have to do that. It would be better if you just worked out and then you go get nutrition, if that's your only option. And that's my topic for today. Don't make excuses, and especially don't use breakfast as an excuse.
Well, you're right there, Jared. And all right, can I give you one more?
Yeah.
When excuses, this is something that Dixon and I were talking about last week. Well, it was Dixon and I, and also Shorty. The people that walk into the gym, they don't even have they haven't even taken off their tennis shoes to go walk into the gym. Now, our gym, you take your tennis shoes off because it's padded. But regardless, they haven't even set their gym bag down, and they're preloading excuses.
Yep. Well,
don't preload excuses.
I already worked out this morning. I only slept for 2 hours.
Or yeah, I'm tired today, or I didn't this today. Stop! Don't preload excuses. Just do what you're going to do. Accomplish your mission. There's reasons. All right, so I hurt my leg yesterday, and I can't, do a certain exercise because I injured myself. Okay, that is a reason. But there's a big difference between reasons and excuses. And I think a lot of people, and we're all guilty of it, but before you open your mouth and just spit out something, pause and think. How many of you have ever been to any kind of a training facility? I don't care if it's a gym, if it's whatever, and people walk in and they're already preloading their excuses. They're already telling you why it's okay for them not to succeed today. And what you're doing when you do that is you're setting yourself up for failure because you're giving yourself a mental excuse not to achieve. So stop doing it.
Yeah, let's drop the mic there.
Drop the mic and walk off.
Now, before we get into the meat of this episode here, go to swatfuelstore.com, use the promo code PREPARED. It's good until the end of February. If you go there and you can't use it, then use SOTG2015, and you will save some money on your order. And also, Alex has a quick message for all of you new listeners.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
All right. Thank you, Alex. And we got a lot of people in the studio today. Before we get into the meat, because once we get into the meat of it, I'm just going to go. Let's thank our friends at Century Arms, the sweetest smelling arms maker in the United States, sponsor of the mobile app and the radio show. If you don't have the mobile app yet, fix yourself. Androids, iPhones, iPads. It's free. Do it. Crossbreed Holsters, the makers of the Super Tuck Deluxe, the Freedom Carry, and the Bruce Jenner Commemorative. Check them out at crossbreedholsters.com. Frog Lube, it just works. It's green, it's minty fresh, and who knows, you might take your friend out to the range and they're like, man, I don't know what you're doing, but your gun sure does smell good. We had another one, a good friend of the show said he took a guy out shooting the other day and he's like, man, your gun smells minty fresh. I know, isn't that amazing? Brownells at brownells.com. You can pick up Frog Lube there, or you can buy Duracoat products. And you want to buy Duracoat products because life is too short to have an ugly gun or an ugly anything. So there you go, Duracoat. Can technology. And don't forget to pick yourself up a Duracoat gun tattoo. You know you want one. You know you do. If you're going to redo a gun, get a Duracoat gun tattoo and make it your own. Jared, you look like you're really intense over there. He's intensifying his look. And
I was just checking the status on the Google Play podcast.
Very good.
If you guys have an Android device that runs on Google Play, they are releasing a podcast thing here pretty soon, so you won't have to use Podcast Republic or Pocket Cast or whatever. You'll be able to get us directly on Google Play Music Podcasts.
Wow, very cool. And finally, Velocity Triggers. You've got a black rifle. They have a trigger for you. All right, guns and carrots. There is a candidate for office who is very concerned. He's concerned that it's easier to get a gun than it is to get fresh produce. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this crap up. The left-wing lunatics, they just... You can't make this up. If I was a comedy writer, I couldn't make up stuff this good. Dan Muroff, and the source from this is aldeannews.com. Story by Max Marin, February 11th, 2016. Dan Muroff, guns in the street. There are guns in the street. Be careful, you might trip over one. Guns in the street are easier to find than healthy produce. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to get my healthy produce off the street. Do you? Do you get your produce off the street?
No.
Now, I don't get my guns or my produce off the street, but apparently Dan Muroff does. The above headline doesn't quite sum up the reason Dan Muroff is running for Congress, but it comes close. Muroff, 48, is a gigantic douche. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't say that in there. Was the first to throw his hat into the now crowded Democratic primary. Mark your calendars, it's coming fast. He's looking to unseat veteran U.S. Representative Chaka Fattah. Yes, you're like, Chaka Fattah. Chaka Fattah.
I was waiting for
Chaka
you.
Fattah. Chaka Fattah, won't you rock me? Rock with Chaka Fattah. Who faces a string of federal corruption charges and a dwindling campaign coffer. Oh. And according to this story, it says, and gun violence prevention is his big campaign issue. That is the big campaign issue of Dan Muroff. Now, you're like, where is this freak at? Oh, well, this freak is in Pennsylvania. That's right. But not just anywhere in Pennsylvania. He's over in the wonderful city of brotherly love area known as Philadelphia. Because we know what a great job Democrats do and have done at preventing violence in their communities.
I have a question. If somebody chokes to death on a carrot, for instance, is that called produce violence?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, would they refer to that as produce
violence? If you beat someone to death with a zucchini, is that vegetable violence?
So
produce violence?
Have you seen the 1,000 Ways to Die with a cucumber?
No, and I don't want to, probably.
You guys should look it up. It's interesting. Gardener with a cucumber.
A well-known attorney and Democratic ward leader in Mount Airy Murov has a long history of advocating for smarter gun control. He calls it a public health crisis, the effects of which can be felt in the 2nd Congressional District that includes parts of North Philadelphia and Montgomery County. Oh, man. And so I thought you guys would appreciate that. Let me see, what other genius things has this guy said here? Well, I really don't give one rat's fanny about what other genius things this guy has said. Here's the deal. Here's the dealio, folks. Can I tell you something? I was going to save this, but we have a few minutes left of this show, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to give you, the student of the gun listener, the perfect retort to your gun violence, we need more laws, friends. You know that you have relatives and friends and acquaintances that believe in their heart of really silly, ridiculous hearts that we need more laws. We need more laws or a better law. Or, the laws we have aren't good enough to keep us safe. Because somehow, at some point in their life, they have been convinced that laws keep us safe. That words written on paper, put, on record at your state capitol or the nation's capital or whatever, that somehow, if we can get enough elected bureaucrats together in one room, they can come up with a law or a group of laws that will keep you safe, that will stop bad people from doing bad things. Okay. This is what I want you, next time you get into a conversation, if you feel like dealing with these knuckleheads, and they tell you, why don't you support gun laws or reasonable restrictions? We always get that, don't we, Jared? We get the, well, if you and our hardcore NRA extremists need to just be reasonable.
I figured out what they want.
What do they want?
They want everything to be fair.
Everything should be fair.
It's not fair for the victim to be more heavily armed than the attacker, to have more stuff on them.
That's right. That's right. I mispronounced it. It's not Aldean News. It's Aldea. It's the aldeanews.com. So, whatever. But I will tell you this. If you have this person in front of you, and they're standing there and you're standing there, you're in the same geographic area, walk over and find something heavy. I don't care what it is. A wrench, a hammer, a pipe, a baseball bat. Pick up a nice, healthy coffee mug and tell them, say, all right, what would you do if I decided that I was going to smash your skull in? Now, stay with me here. I was going to smash your skull in with this coffee mug, with this wrench, this hammer, with this baseball bat. What would you do if right at this moment I decided to smash your skull in with this? What would you do? And they're like, oh, I'll dial 911 or no. Say, no. What would you do? Oh, well, I wouldn't let you. How would you not let me? Oh, I would do this, and it doesn't. Here's the thing: is unless they're armed, their answer is immaterial. Now, you could do it. You could phrase it like this: what would stop me? Now, be careful because these people are really weak, and it doesn't take much to scare them. What would stop me from smashing your head in with this object that's in my hand right now? What will stop me? Well, it's against the law. It's against the law for you to smash my head in with that. Yeah, it's against the law, but what would stop me? Do you believe that the words written on the paper, filed by Congress, blah, 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 signed by the governor, on file at the state capitol, do you believe that those words are enough to stop me from smashing your skull in with this? And if they think about it, if they have the capacity for rational thought, they're like, well, obviously not. But you wouldn't do that to me. I know you. You're my friend. You're my relative. You're my neighbor. You're my whatever. You wouldn't do that to me. Why wouldn't I? Well, because it would be wrong. So there are two things that will stop me from smashing your head in with this object that's in my hand. One, you having the physical ability to make that not happen. Right? Whether it's a manifestation of a firearm or taser or pepper spray or whatever, it doesn't matter. A weapon or the determination to not let me do it. Or my own morality, my own moral code. The fact that I know that it's wrong. Now, laws and legislation is not morality. Morality does not come from the state. The state cannot create morality. All the state can do is regulate bad behavior and punish after the behavior has occurred. It can't prevent the behavior from happening. So there's only two ways to stop me from, there's only two ways that I can be stopped from smashing your skull in with this object. One, you have the physical ability to make me stop somehow. Physicality, real. You can't talk me out of it. No words that come out of your mouth are going to stop me. The only thing that could stop me is my own morality or your physical ability to make me stop. I know this is like blowing your mind, and the vast majority of the liberal-minded weenies that you talk to can't even fathom that. That is the scary thing about America today. But when you hear idiots like this Murroff, this oxygen thief scumbag from Pennsylvania, talking about it's easier to get guns on the street than it is to kick your microphone and have fresh produce. I don't even know what to say to that. But what I'll tell you is this, is morality doesn't come from the state. And the only way to stop a bad person from harming you is to either have the physical capabilities to make it stop, or for that person to have the morality to not do it. But when we have people in America, we have creatures in America that have no morality, whose morality is, I want and I'm going to take. The only recourse for you as the citizen, as the potential victim, is to figure out a way to physically prevent that from happening. No law is going to do it. Doesn't matter. Now, they can find the person and punish them afterwards, but that really doesn't do you much good because you've already been victimized. You've already been maimed, robbed, killed, whatever. The only thing they can hope to do is punish people later. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I am done talking to you today, but I will be back tomorrow, I promise. Don't be sad. Remember, until then, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.